I was researching this episode and a particular question dropped in my head, and it was how much will these guys know about the state of Maine?
Maine. I do want to go to Maine. That's like a big place I want to go. I know that you can whale watch up there, maybe find a stray moose, but if you mean the history, I know nothing. Absolutely nothing.
All right, how about you, Mike?
To all the Fallout fans out there, if you played Fallout 4 Far Harbor, you'll know a little bit about Maine. So,
All right,
little
well,
flex.
good thing this has nothing to do with it.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Just Why, the podcast where college students try to have a good take once in a while, but only end up looking like schmucks. I am Jacob Smith, along with John McCooch and Michelangelo Ben, as per usual. How are you gentlemen doing today?
I'm doing pretty good actually. This should be a fun one. The first episode we already know was a banger. Hopefully we come back with it again.
Well, depends on what your definition of fun is.
This is true. This is true.
All right, how about you, Mike?
I'm doing phenomenal. I'm just glad to be on here, sharing my thoughts with you guys.
All right, well, here we read and discuss stories, events, tales, and legends from the past that ensure, avoid, rebuild, and sentence, but overall beg the question, just why? A random verb generator coming in clutch. How about that one?
Shout out to the random verb generator. I mean, always coming clutch.
I tell you what, the number one thing I'm looking for a podcast is a podcast that avoids. My number one thing I'm looking for.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in this episode of our avoiding journey, we're examining a story that encapsulates an aspect of American culture that I think most would like to forget happened, but is still important to analyze and explore for the sake of learning and growth as a society. However, in this story, the lines between good and bad can blur easily, and by the end, I think a lot will be wondering whether there was even a hero to begin with, or that everyone in the story were villains after all. Not a single good person.
That's usually the case in these kind of stories. It's like, oh, maybe this guy was right. No, everyone's just messed up. This should be fun.
Especially considering we're talking about the past. I think a lot of people pre a certain era are just like shitty in general.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, but I think we already knew that. Well, then let's get started. In the middle 19th century, exhibitions of abnormal and unusual people had become an important cultural pillar in the burgeoning American society. These types of shows grew from simple stand up routines in local taverns and dime museums to multi personality entertainment enterprises, which toured the American landscape and the more successful ones internationally as well. Popular acts such as those associated with the famous or infamous, depending how you look at it, P.T. Barnum, it helped to ensure the rise of American leisure activities in reaction to work reforms and the development of the American middle class all helped skyrocket the popularity of all sorts of quote unquote freak shows and the quote unquote stars of them. How much do you guys know about the circus?
Circus. So, I mean, listen, I know you got the bearded lady. It would come around a town sometimes, but I know it's lost its popularity, but it's really popular back then from what I've assumed. I don't know if I'm
Absolutely.
wrong on that one. Yeah. But
Very, very popular back then.
Yeah.
P.T. Barnum is basically like one of the most famous Americans of the time, I would say.
Yeah. I remember recollecting this video I saw. It was taking place around this time, but of course it was recorded modern time, and it's a very famous disabled actor who basically was trying to find love and trying to find himself, but because he was considered a part of the freak show, he ended up finding his family within the people who share similar disabilities with him. Thought it was pretty interesting.
Do you know the title?
No, I saw it in high school.
All right. Well,
Okay.
guess it'll be lost forever then.
So maybe someone will know. Maybe someone will know out there.
And drop it in the whatever platform comments you're on right now. Listen to it.
Somewhere.
Yep. All right. Well, obvious to most of us is also the gruesome underbelly of such performances, as the happy-go-lucky attitude of the show on the surface usually masked the bigoted, unscrupulous, and sometimes downright bogus actions, especially of the earlier freak shows. For many people born with mental or physical disabilities, circuses, freak shows, and stunt performances were some of the only career paths available. Even for those who were high functioning, such as like dwarfs, could only get careers and money related to freak shows in some form of another. So basically, like these people were shunned from every other career opportunity, and the only place they could go was the circus.
Damn. It's
Huh.
just a story of America in general, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much. If you aren't
Yeah.
a white male, you're kind of just shunned from everything. If you're
Oh, yeah.
not a 6-foot average Joe, then you're pretty much just kind of screwed.
And you're forced to, like, be put in a box like these people were, and this is to a much, like, weirder degree. You're put in the freak show, literally. A lot of the other stuff is disguised as other things, but this is just blatant, like, "Yeah, you're a freak. Go be a freak."
Yeah, and it's not even just people with some sort of malformation or mutation all the time. Sometimes it's just people who like had a certain like skill, like a sword swallower or like a human pincushion or something like that.
Yeah.
And they just like were not able to make it anywhere else. So they went to the circus, and that's the only place where shoving a metal nail into your face could be seen as a good kind of career, one that can make you money, at least somewhat.
It's pretty sad knowing that a section of society was so shunned away. Well, in America, of course, multiple sections of society were shunned, but to the point that basically bullying was for money. Because in a
Yeah,
circus, they were
pretty
getting made
much.
fun of.
Yeah, oh yeah. Hold on to that thought because
Oh,
you're
boy.
gonna see a lot of that. All right. Well, many minority performers, whether of spectacle or of disability, almost always had their acts catered to some sort of white supremacist racial ideology. Acts such as Zip the Pinhead had domestically born minority people being portrayed as missing links in the evolutionary chain or captured warriors from uncivilized and subordinate cultures.
What the
Yeah, it's Zip the Pinhead had some sort of skull malformation where he kind of had like a pointed skull, and but he was born here. Like he had a normal life, and reports say that he was like very high functioning, if any, if this not disabled at all. But still, his act was based around him being like a wild man from like a undiscovered African tribe or something like
Oh
that.
my god. And that was, like,
Jesus.
the only thing he was able to do too. They wouldn't put him
Yeah,
anywhere else.
because he looked different.
Yeah.
That's based that, and he's a minority, but
Yeah, not
Oh my
yeah, it's just that's
gosh.
just, like, not much going for you for that because that's just what society was, like, go people were just if you were a minority or any kind of disabled person, you were just shunned and, sent to the circus. It's really sad, but,
yep. Yeah,
um
it's the same kind of case as we'll see coming up. Well, other
okay.
acts, such as, for example, Joyce Heth, an African American woman who was billed as being over 160 years old and the personal nurse to an infant George Washington, had viewers fearing for the woman's health. Typically a good take to have, right? Because,
I mean, if you're 160
well, it's a hoax. She was not
I know
160.
she's not I obviously she's not
She
100 she
she
was
is but she is still a frail elderly
yes.
woman. Towards the end of the career, there's reports that she had trouble, like, walking
Oh
and,
my
like, doing
gosh.
anything.
And I'm sure the people at the circus who were, in charge, they probably didn't care at all. They were just saying, "Yeah,
Yep.
go out and perform and do what you have to do because we need to get paid."
Yeah, she was one of the people touring with P.T. Barnum, if I'm not mistaken, so she was being moved around all the time.
Yeah.
And
Well,
sadly, this brings up a whole nother topic, which I'll go into later when we finish the story.
alright. Well, these people were fearing for her health, but not for the simple reason of a barely mobile elderly woman being put on display, but for, quote, "Her black blood could not tolerate the extreme cold. Her native element is the South." So
Oh,
basically, Jesus
Oh,
fucking Christ.
oh my gosh. Just
Like
imagine.
even though she is literally, like, made of glass, they literally don't care. They think
they don't
it's
care.
her race still.
The
Oh my
hell is even
god,
black
America.
blood, bro? Eh,
Bro, what does black blood even mean?
I
exactly. It's like, oh my gosh.
People just make up anything that could differentiate white people from minorities, and
yeah,
I think that that's 100% the case there.
that's definitely what they were doing. It's just America, guys, America.
All right. Well, freak shows in these cases had essentially become exhibits of white superiority, and how exhibiting these freaks from lesser racial backgrounds solidified the bigotry of white racism. Even when attempting to unvilify themselves, showmen often ended up only solidifying it. The famous English exhibitioner Tom Norman wrote in reference to Joseph Merrick, the Elephant Man, who had growths all over his face and sort of like he wasn't that good looking, I'll say that much. He wrote that, quote, "No parent could have studied their own child more than any of the all of the four of us could have studied Joseph." End quote. So like even in saying that, you're still like putting him to the level of a child. Like he's a man, he's a person. He's not like your experiment or your plaything. He's like a
Yeah.
person. So, but in contrast, Frederick Treves, who wrote the Elephant Man's most famous memoir, The Elephant Man and Other Reminiscences, had this to say, quote, "He was shunned like a leper, housed like a wild beast, and got his only view of the world through a peephole in a showman's cart." He described his life as, quote, a little better than dismal slavery."
Oh my
Oh my god.
gosh.
And with other examples of such things happening, I'm more inclined to believe that guy than than the
Yeah.
showman
Oh, easily. I
because
mean,
he's literally living in a box.
He was
Like,
treated like an animal.
yeah, he's literally in a cart, like where no one can see him, and the only way he can see out is through like a cutout peephole. That's
yeah,
his
like
only view of the outside world that he's not seeing when he's on display.
they're in a box physically and metaphorically in like that they're stuck in this circus life where they can't go out and see the world in any other way. And they literally put them in a physical box. I mean, you can only get that. That's just yeah, I could not imagine living a life like that and
I couldn't either.
just having no choice but to continue on in that circus.
Yeah, because it's the only career path available. It's the only
Yeah,
thing you can do.
you
Like,
can't do anything.
especially for Joseph Merrick, because he would not be accepted anywhere else in these times.
Oh no.
Like, people would probably be running and screaming just based off of how little like science and medical knowledge was valued at the time.
It's just that fear of the unknown, really, and
Absolutely.
the unwillingness to understand other people at that
Hmm.
time. We've progressed a bit towards that. I don't know how people would view somebody like them nowadays, but uh, back then it was just there nothing close to any sort of acceptance.
Yeah, and that's the kind of mentality that helped to like drive the freak shows out of popularity. It's like people started realizing like, hey, this is kind of sick.
This
Yeah,
is really fucked,
these are
honestly.
human beings.
Yeah, like it's absolutely ridiculous. So, freak shows had essentially become in general less about the spectacle of those who were medical marvels or excellent stunt performers to instead the exploitation of minorities, the mentally and physically disabled, and those who submitted themselves to gruesome stunts as part of their skill set or through pure desperation. Many of these so-called freaks were just normal people, maybe some a bit odd, especially those who performed the crazy stunts, but far from the freak moniker that many would come to bear far after they had retired from their performances. But one man, of which today's story follows, maybe broke this mold and became a freak of not just the flesh, but also of the mind as well. What do you guys think? What do you guys think so far? How's your feeling? What's your heart saying?
And I
I
just feel terrible that these people had to endure constant theme in America, a group of people going through an abuse for no reason,
Yep.
honestly.
Yeah,
yeah, it's really no
it's
reason.
especially with these people, like it's gonna become a common theme. Well, let me settle your hearts a little bit and say that it's only gonna get worse from here,
I
Nice.
expected nothing less. I expect nothing less from this podcast.
pretty much. All right. On June 26th, 1937, Grady Stiles Jr. was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to Edna and Grady Sr. He was the fourth child of the couple, and the difference between his eldest brother William and himself was a staggering 32 years. William being born in 1905. So basically, these parents got around, if you know what I'm saying.
Amen.
Jeez. Hey, if you're old enough, if you're elderly, you could still have your fun.
I guess like 32 years difference, like that could be your father. He could have raised him.
Yeah,
How old was the
okay.
how old were the parents when, like, the
I
youngest was
couldn't
born? Was
find
there no data?
anything. I couldn't
Oh,
Fro-
find
man.
anything.
From what we know, though, they're probably maybe 60, 70, maybe a little
Prob
more.
maybe like earliest late 50s. That's what I would guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, Grady's father, Grady Sr., was a prominent act in a local traveling circus due to a deformity that his family's genealogy has had for generations. Some sources give the idea that Grady Jr. was the fourth in the line of people in the family to have it. Others claim he was the sixth in the generation to have it. Some claimed the first to have the deformity in the family was in 1805, others 1840. The point is, the deformity was passed down through the family. The deformity, known as ectrodactyly, is a condition in which a child is born with fingers fused together or with bones missing or underdeveloped. This often results in hands that are cleft down the middle, and in some cases, such as Grady Jr., can essentially turn the hands into two pincer-like extremities as opposed to the 5 fingers we have today. So it's a little hard to describe through just audio, but the image we'll have for this episode will show a picture of him, and it's, as you can see, basically imagine like you're doing the surfs up kind of hand symbol, but your middle 3 fingers are gone.
Not to be insensitive, but like just imagine a Lego character, how their hands are cupped.
A little bit, maybe
Yeah, kind of.
not like that width, but definitely
Yeah.
Yeah.
the 2-prong kind of thing.
Yeah, I get the idea. Yeah.
Yeah. The disorder
Okay.
is also not exclusive to humans, as it can also affect animals such as frogs, mice, chickens, cows, cats and dogs, and even manatees.
Manatees.
Yeah, manatees.
Wait, but they don't have like fingers. They just have kind of a
They
flipper.
got flippers. They got flippers.
So
I
do
guess
the
that's-
flippers fuse together or something?
I don't know. I didn't see any manatee ectrodactyly pictures, but I just read it in a medical journal that
Okay.
there's reported cases of manatees having it.
I will be looking that up after. I need to see what that is.
All right. Well, humans that have had such condition have often not let it prevent them from leading rich and interesting lives, such as, for example, Mikhail Tal had the condition and went on to become a world chess champion for the Soviets.
Oh my.
Hmm.
Okay, actually that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, from what I've seen, the hands are more or less functional.
Yeah.
It's just like different looking.
You're not gonna be able to grab things as easily, but it's there. You can definitely work around it, especially with chess pieces in that example. Like,
Yeah, I
really-
mean, as long as you're grabbing,
yeah, I don't think there's. You're functional.
yeah, you're definitely functional. It's just
Yeah.
weird looking in some
Yeah.
cases.
But
Well-
weird looking just leads to harassment and bullying apparently in this
Yeah.
world.
Especially in back then, and
Not even weird looking, just the different. If you're
Yeah.
different, you're gonna get something, some
Something.
sort of just hatred towards you coming your way.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Grady Jr. had such a condition as his father, and the result was hands that were described as quote claw-like. The condition also affected his legs and feet, enough to make it so that Stiles Jr. was unable to walk without the assistance of a wheelchair. This, however, did not deter Stiles, as he learned to use his arms to crawl and propel himself, which resulted in him developing abnormally strong upper body and arm strength.
It was yoked.
Yeah, I
what a-
mean, he was kind of built, as you'll come to see.
what a
like,
goat.
You do not want to take him in a fight. That's all I'll say for now.
If he could deadlift,
I don't know. I'm
knows?
really not sure.
who knows?
By the age of 7, Stiles Jr. had joined his father on the carnival circuit, and the role given to him became the Lobster Boy, a member of the lobster family along with his father. Stiles Jr.'s routine consisted of the following. Stiles would hoist himself up to a cushioned stool or chair, often in a tent that the circus had set up for his act. He would then say, quote, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Lobster Boy. This condition is not caused by drugs or disease. It runs in the family." The crowd would then, in shock and entertainment, jeer, joke, and taunt about Stiles and his condition.
Oh my gosh. Just imagining like the sports world, right? You got LeBron James over here, and the whole audience is just calling him like a bum. Like, dog.
Yeah, it's just a packed arena, just yelling, "Lobster boy, lobster boy!" Like, that's just. They were probably saying many worse things than that. Things that you're not able to say on these things, but he had to have been just harassed, and it's like there had to be hundreds, if not thousands, of people in there. They're all saying like these awful things, and you're getting paid to just listen to it and take it. It's weird.
Yeah, absolutely. I imagine him just sitting there playing the part, but in the back of their mind, there's just a seething amount of rage for everything involving
yeah.
his act and the people watching him. Because his act is literally just like, hello, my name is Grady. And then someone in the back is like, what the fuck is that? Look at his legs.
Oh,
That's literally what was going on, more or less, from what I've read about it.
so was his entire act just like
Getting
getting up
bullied.
on the cushion and just saying, "I am Grady, I am Lobster Boy," and then that's it? Was there any kind of
Yeah,
trick?
from what I've read, basically people just like gawked at him.
So his act was to just, "Hey guys, look at me and make fun of me."
Pretty much.
Oh my
Hey,
god,
Which
the
is not
worst,
out of the ordinary from what I've seen.
bro,
definitely
and the
not.
worst part is like he has to like emphasize this isn't from drugs or drinking. Like, Doug, huh?
This runs in the
Yeah,
family.
what drug causes that?
There's
I,
nothing.
there's absolutely nothing.
There's something we don't know about. I don't know.
All right, well, even when growing older, Stiles seemed to remain unfazed by the ridicule and backhanded sneers thrown his way from the crowds he entertained. Stiles toured the circus for nearly half a century, all put together, taking on whatever the audience had to throw at him during the time. However, the public seemed to recognize Stiles as unfazed to the torment given to him by the gawkers and onlookers. But the personal life of Grady Stiles Jr. is what truly reveals how he developed under the circus banner and what all the vitriolic hate he received caused him to become. Stiles, while touring the circuit, met a young woman, Mary Teresa. Teresa was on the circus circuit as well, but she did not suffer from any sort of disability or mutations. She had simply run away to join the circus at the age of 19. The two hit it off and eventually married and had 3 children together, 2 of which, Kathy and Grady III, inherited their father's condition. Their other daughter, Donna, did not and appeared normal. It wasn't before long that Stiles had begun bringing his 2 malformed children with him to create his routine as the Lobster family once again, much like his father had done with him before. The family toured for good portions of the year, often sometimes up to 8 months long, and while vacationing, they stayed in their home in Gibsonton, Florida during the off season. Gibsonton is a town famous for its community of aging or vacationing sideshow players.
Okay.
It's always Florida.
Yeah, I mean, kind of typical, right?
Yeah, just a bunch of Florida man right there.
And sorry to our Floridian listeners in the
I,
future.
We
even they would say that Florida has a lot of interesting people
yeah,
down there.
we love you guys, but you guys irradiate crackhead energy.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like us too. Like, I feel like New Jerseyans will be the first people
New
to tell you
York.
that New Jersey sucks.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, the act portrayed them as a loving family struck with an unfortunate disability, but behind the scenes, nothing could be less true. Stiles was a notorious alcoholic and often had a short temper, liable to fly off the handle at the smallest of inconveniences. Unfortunately, Stiles often used his abnormal upper body strength to abuse his wife and family.
Huh.
God.
He went
It-
from, "Oh, I feel so bad," to, "I am a terrible guy."
yeah, trust me, you do not want to feel bad for him. That's all I'm
I
gonna say.
I can tell now.
Yeah. His wife initially was often the one taking the brunt of it, as his pincer-like hands seemingly assisted him in his ability to pinch and choke her. He also was a advent. Fuck me.
Get there.
He also often threw headbutts if he decided his hands wouldn't suffice.
That advent and headbutt are 2 different words, Jake. Come on now.
I was going for like advantageous, but I couldn't fit it in. Well,
Okay.
his son Grady III later said in an interview, quote, "When I cried, he was like, 'I'll give you a reason to cry.'" End quote. So like
Gee.
classic abusive father kind of shtick, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
More
happens to have pincer hands.
yeah, he just happens to be this way. He
Yeah.
like dickheadedness is not exclusive to normal people.
No. Not at all.
His son also described him as horribly racist. And it's like, ain't that the shit, huh?
Yeah.
Or it's like you are like deformed and you have built your career off of people like thinking you are lesser and you still have the gall to imagine that you are superior to a whole race of people simply because your skin color is white.
Yeah, and he probably worked with, minorities as well. during his time? Like, does he still not understand what's going on? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the circus is filled with those kinds of people. So like I don't
Yeah,
understand. I just don't I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
I don't know. Like, was this his way to project, like his anger towards constantly being abused by the crowd, or is he just also a terrible person? It might be a bit of both, really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I imagine it's a bit of both.
Yeah,
because with bullies, normally they get bullied by some other person or some person in their life.
yeah, it's the cycle.
Yeah, I didn't get any information on what his touring like was with his father, but I imagine it wasn't the best
It had to be
considering
similar.
this is how he turned out.
Yeah,
So I imagine it wasn't the best.
no, it couldn't be.
Well, well, one night in 1973, Stiles lost his temper once again and attacked his wife, but this time would become way worse than what was normally experienced by Mary Teresa. During the attack, Stiles, quote, fought with Mary, threw her to the ground, and ripped her IUD out of her body by hand. So Jesus
What?
fucking Christ.
What the fuck, dog?
I didn't even know you could do that.
I I no, I didn't either. What?
I don't. I really don't want to picture that, low key. But what the fuck?
I
How?
I don't even know. Like reading that, I was like, "Oh my fucking god." How did
Earlier, when you said that he got married, I was like, "Oh, I'm happy for the guy. He found love." And then, no, what?
No,
Nope, he did not. He found a punching bag.
Jesus Christ.
Well, Mary promptly left Grady and moved in along with her children with a family friend named Harry Glenn Newman, who was a dwarf and also a sideshow performer. Soon after, the two had a child, Harry Glenn Jr., named Glenn for short. Shortly thereafter, however, Grady, without Mary knowing, filed for an official divorce, which apparently she didn't do, and she left. I'm like, what? Like,
I'm just now.
like,
This is a circus.
yeah, it's a circus in a circus.
Yeah.
Like, how hard can it be to be like, my husband is abusing me. I want a divorce. Like, she had enough like will to leave.
Wait, but what year did this? What year did this happen, though?
1973.
Wasn't there
Oh,
some kind of law where that stuff changed, where it was like that wasn't you couldn't just walk up and say, "Oh, I'm being abused." People wouldn't believe you or something.
yeah. At the time, women definitely weren't believed, but I don't
Yeah.
know in the '70s though. Maybe around that time it changed a bit, but I
Well,
don't know.
yeah, but there's also the fact that Grady filed for it without Mary knowing.
Yeah, that part's interesting.
So it's like, could she not have done the same?
I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
Maybe there's some sort of like patriarchal thing we don't know about divorce court
Yeah.
of the
Had to be
time.
that 'cause the '70s were still an iffy time in terms of all that.
Yeah, I
Honest
imagine.
question. I thought this was all taking place like early 1900s, dog. I didn't believe that there were still like sideshows 70s going
No,
into 80s.
no, yeah, this is way later on. I
Huh.
think it's definitely not as popular by this point that it once was, but
Right.
it still gets like some work done uh in local carnivals, I would say.
It
And
pays.
I didn't write it down, but I remember reading that Grady made a decent amount of money doing this. He made like 50 to 80,000 a year depending on how good the season was.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me that they made a lot of money because ticket sales had to be pretty high.
Oh yeah, they spiked that shit.
Yeah. I mean, that had to be that was like a fun thing you take the kids to go to back in the day, and it's just
Look at the abusive lobster man.
yeah.
What'd you
Hey.
call me?
You just see him. Oh my
Come
god.
on. Come on. Come near me.
You're like, "Can I get an autograph?" And you see him smack his wife. You're like, dude, let's go."
Yeah,
Maybe not.
well, time to go, Timmy.
Yeah. Ask for an autograph, he starts writing with the IUD or something.
Oh my god.
I'm
What?
like, "Oh, what is that?" And then they're like,
What?
Like, "Oh,
his
wrong thing,
mom's
wrong
like,
thing."
uh,
I got this from my wife.
bro, this man's psychotic as the Joker, dog. He's like, Well,
Yeah, this
do,
is Joker kind of shit right now.
This is what
do you
inspired the Joker.
do you want to see how I got my IUD? He just fucking whips it out.
Well,
Oh my god.
as a result from the divorce, Grady was able to regain custody of the children, and they moved back in with their father.
Oh, what?
Yep. See, because he was the one to file the divorce, I think he was able to get custody.
Oh my
That's
god.
terrible.
America.
I don't even get it. Like, I don't understand.
What's the logic?
I don't know, because he was the one to file it, I guess. I guess, like, if you're the one filing it, and I'm sure he spun the story in some sort of way that paints him in a good light.
Had to.
And I guess because, like, Mary's long gone and can't defend herself, then they have to go with what he's saying.
Yeah. The lawyer might have actually probably seen him at the show or something. It was like, oh yeah, I know you. You're good.
Hey, you're the lobster boy.
Yeah, I
Would you
love
call
football.
me?
Yeah, you can have your kids. Why not?
You guys excited to go back with your lobster
Yeah.
father?
Oh, the lobster kitties.
Well, before we move on from this point, I'd just like to point out how insulting the writing is for this source.
Oh boy.
Uh, from American Sideshow, an encyclopedia of history's most wondrous and curiously strange performers, page 217. Quote, eventually Teresa moved away from her crustacean-like husband. She took her children to live with a friend in Ohio, Harry Glenn Newman, also known as the Midget Man. Tall, dark, and handsome was evidently not a priority for her.
Oh my god. They
So
wrote that?
yes, it's in the book. So, like, I get making fun of Stiles because he's a piece of shit, but
Yeah.
like, Newman literally did nothing. He
Didn't
did
even try.
nothing wrong,
What the
and you're just making fun of him because he's a dwarf.
Oh my god.
Also,
so
his
fucked.
name was the Midget Man. Like, come on, bro.
I
That's
don't know
so
if you can get any more offensive.
And you know when this was written? 2006.
Huh?
What?
Yeah,
What?
yes, it was written in 2006.
Huh? Does that writer have a job still, dog?
I don't know. I don't know.
I hope not.
But like that was so fucking terribly written. Oh my god. But I had to put it in because like when I read it the first time, I had the same reaction as you guys. It's like, this is not the 40s, dude. Can't say that about people.
2006.
Whatever, man. People
Yeah.
are just as much dickheads now as any time before. You just
Yep.
gotta be. Some people are just capable. All right. Well, from this point, the story goes cold for a little bit up until 1978, where at this point, Stiles had remarried to a woman named Barbara. Stiles' daughter, Donna, if you'll recall, she was the one who did not have the condition ectrodactyly, was 15 at the time and was described as, quote, pretty and petite. Take with that what you will. Whatever perverted newspaper man wrote that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Another writer who should not have a job.
A little weird. Yeah,
Oh.
people are just like a little weird writing this kind of stuff. I guess you got to be a kind of a weird person to kind of look into this, though.
Maybe. I guess that makes us weird.
Yeah, but I'm
Hey,
not
whoa,
saying
whoa, whoa,
I'm
whoa,
not
don't-
calling 15-year-olds pretty and petite.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, yeah,
I don't
bro.
know.
We're definitely not like that.
We're not that kind of weird.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. Maybe petite like had a different like connotation than it did in the 70s because like now just like reading that just makes you kind of like cringe in your seat a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what life was like back then. We didn't live through it, if you
No.
couldn't tell. So
And from this story, it makes me seem like I don't want to.
But
Yeah, no.
honestly, the 70s isn't that far back. Like, my
Yeah, this
mother
is
was born
very
around this time.
recent in terms of
Yeah.
everything.
yeah.
Like
It was like, what, 50
if
years
you
ago?
put if you put this story in like the 30s, it would play out like the same.
Yeah.
Like that's how fucked this is so far.
Yeah.
Well-
Wasn't this during Vietnam, like the era?
Yeah, it was I think it was a little after Vietnam by this point. This is more like Cold War stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the 70s, you said 75. I mean,
This is 78,
78. Okay, this is like, what was the civil rights movement? 68?
mid 60s.
That was like
about
the end
that.
of, that was like the end, the like tail end of it was 68. That was a big year for a lot of things. So it's like pretty close to right after that. So everything didn't really kind of fully change societally. So this kind of it starts to make sense when you put it all into perspective. But
Yeah,
it's still just messed up.
I guess, but like people are just as much dickheads as they are now. But I feel like
Yeah.
people weren't like this freely like weird, you know?
No,
Especially
it's
especially
hidden now.
Yeah.
during the tail end though of like the hippie movement, the peace movements. It's like you wouldn't expect constant harassment to be a major industry.
Well,
Here it
proving you
is.
wrong.
Yeah,
All
about
right.
that.
Well, it was around this time where Donna fell for an 18-year-old neighbor who lived close to the family named Jack Lane. Lane was a high school dropout and made it clear that he had a major disdain for Grady. From the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, quote, "The kid made fun of Stiles. Grady never forgave anybody who did that. He wore the hate so badly. The kid said he was a freak." Maybe not the best thing to say to this guy considering what he's done.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
surprised he never killed anyone.
To Donna, though,
Oh
Lane
boy.
was
That
I
silence
was like,
is
story's
on.
not over, Mike.
Oh my
to
god.
Donna, though, Lane was a ticket out of the abusive household. Quote, "When he, Grady, said something, she jumped. She probably had a living hell in that house." Pretty good
That's
take.
understatement, but yeah.
Bit of an understatement, but yeah, pretty accurate. A little bit of a living hell. Lane also made it clear that Stiles had little control over his daughter's will and that she wanted him and there was nothing he could do about it. So if there is ever a person that I can say is asking for it, it is
Oh
right
man.
now. Like he is rubbing it in his face. Like, look at your daughter, man. She's so hot.
Yeah,
he's just like, come here, get in range.
that's how you catch those quote unquote hands.
Yeah,
I mean,
quote unquote.
No,
And
quote unquote. Why you said it like that? Yeah, you catch all the smoke, dog. No cap.
listen, I'm not for making fun of people with disabilities, but this guy is a different story.
Yeah.
All right. Well, following these interactions, Grady then went to a local pawn shop and purchased a 32 caliber revolver, jokingly remarking to Donna that he would quote use it on Jack.
Jokingly,
jokingly,
Huh.
jokingly, of course,
like
all in
that,
jest.
like that Family Guy clip. He's like, I just want to talk to him.
I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk
I
to him.
just want to talk to him.
Boom.
Well, in response, Donna certainly did not take the joke well, and she ran away to Jack's house and stayed for 6 days. Stiles somehow made contact with her, and he threatened, quote, "If you don't get home in 5 minutes, I'm beating the hell out of you, and then I'm gonna kill Jack."
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, so I don't know. He seems a bit like upfront with it,
I
you know.
mean, the honesty is just there.
Well, I mean, this guy's got nothing to lose, so
Yeah.
This
all
man
right.
got
Well,
issues.
oh yeah, mega issues. All right. Well, Donna countered, saying that she would live with Jack permanently unless Grady consented to their marriage. Grady, realizing this at this point, relented, as he would rather have them married, which is interesting because I considered that marriage implies living together.
At
Like,
that time, especially.
yeah, like just being under a single household. Like, if your wife is like across the world, or like you're separated because your crab father is separating you, then you're kind of
Yeah.
just like, "Hey, honey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
What?
I'm over here.
What? I love you.
No, I don't.
What? All
Oh,
right.
Oh my
this
god.
this man is toxic, though. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is pure toxicity. This is Chernobyl.
It's the definition.
he's Future on crack, bro. Future was like an abusive guy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. Well, a date for the marriage was set at September 28th. But multiple times leading up to the date, Stiles threatened Jack with a gun, saying that he'd rather kill him than let him marry his daughter
The gun?
with the gun he bought at the pawn shop.
Oh yeah. How did he hold? Okay, whatever.
I mean, he's still they're still functional hands. It's just
Yeah.
different hands.
Wait, and
Okay.
where's the mom in this situation? Did she just dip and never
Dude,
came
well,
back?
yeah, she's just not in the picture right now. He's got like some I don't know, Barbara. There's nothing on Barbara, so I
So
imagine she's just some sort of like oblivious to the situation kind of person.
she's just there.
Yeah.
I know where else to be.
In spite of this, though, the date of the marriage approached regardless of Stiles' threats. And the night before the marriage, Donna, Lane, and Barbara, her stepmother, as we've just made fun of, went out to buy a wedding dress. When they returned, Stiles was in the living room without his wheelchair, which he needed to get around. So Donna and Barbara went to go get it. Stiles, although the three went to go get it, Stiles called Jack back to him. Stiles said to him, quote, "You got her now. Don't laugh about it." Jack replied, quote, "Told you I'd get her."
Hey, yo.
At this point, I'm like, this is not how I thought it was going to go
Not
at all. Like, I thought he was going to come out guns blazing as soon as he saw his face, like, on the wedding day in front of the altar. But,
yeah.
like, well, Stiles then pulled the revolver he was hiding under the cushion and shot Jack twice in the chest in the back. Jack stumbled outside to Donna, mumbled, quote, "He shot me," and collapsed in her arms. He was pronounced dead 30 minutes later. Grady
God.
Grady then remarked to Donna, quote, "Told you I'd kill him."
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
What?
This is the biggest asshole I've ever heard of. He's just the biggest asshole ever.
What? This man
Just
said,
don't care.
I got him, boys. And then,
Got him.
bro?
And to his daughter, who was in love with him. He just doesn't give two shits, bro.
Bro, I'm sorry. Wheelchair, no, bro. You gotta like shock him, bro. Yeah,
my
yeah.
God. But
Fuck that dude
he's
up.
super strong. So what are you gonna do? Fight him?
Bro, walk with him. Please tell me not.
No, he can crawl. He crawls.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a bit of a speedster on the floor.
This
Because he's
guy's just tiny box of just strength.
he's like those mutants you always see in like Fallout movies where their arms are super big and they're walking on their arms. Like-
the way you described him, bro. If you ever played Left 4 Dead, right? And
I'm not.
the Charger has like one huge arm. I just imagine he's the Charger with two huge arms.
Yeah, I mean
God.
that's kind of what I'd imagine as excuse me, as well.
Plus,
Mm,
no,
You think I should
pardon,
keep
stop.
You think I should keep that in?
No, why
I
not?
mean, yeah.
And we'll leave this in too to solidify the joke, just in case you weren't aware that it was a joke.
You got it.
Well, Stiles openly admitted to committing the murder, regarding to police, quote, "Take me. I'm ready."
He woke up feeling dangerous, dog.
At this
Well,
yeah, I mean
definitely
at this point he's probably in zen mode because he just got rid of the most frustration inducing thing in his entire life. And like he's probably like orgasmic like right now.
Oh,
Oh
he
my
he
God.
woke up and chose violence, dog. No cap. He
Literally.
woke up that day, said, I'm gonna shoot this man.
Bro, and it was the night before the wedding. Like
He did
Disney
not care.
cartoon type.
Yeah, that's a movie. It's like, oh, I'm so ready to get married. Dead. Done.
You shot him! You shot him! Why'd you shoot him?
I don't like him. Like,
Told you.
Jesus.
Why?
This guy's story, bro, is like a perfect movie, right? So
That's
like,
what
at
I
the
was
end of-
thinking. I
you
was
literally-
thinking this would be an excellent movie.
bro, you literally set it up this way. You show him get bullied when he's younger, right? You show all the shit. You make them feel bad. Then out of nowhere, boom, this asshole.
Yeah, and he just like snaps, like a Joker type snaps.
Yeah. You just have to find someone that could play him.
Bro, get Joaquin Phoenix for this too.
I'm more thinking of like the body. I don't know how you would make that into a movie. Like how you would see. I guess you'd have to like CGI it, maybe.
Maybe you're
Like
the
talking about
prop.
the hands and the crawling and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It just depends if someone wants to look into this man's demented story.
Well, maybe
Like
they'll
us.
reference the research we've done here, and they'll
Well-
make the movie.
Well, I did.
Well, yeah, you did, of course, yeah.
Well, at his trial, he attempted to plead self-defense, saying that Lane had attacked him first. But the bullet he shot into his back told otherwise, because from what the reports I read said, he shot Jack once in the chest, And then Jack attempted to like flee and escape out the door, and he shot him again in the back. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
I
not
don't know
self-defense.
how you shoot someone in the back if they're lunging at you.
And the eyewitness accounts, they're just like, yeah, no, he shot him, and then the lawyers are like, doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, from from what the trial told me, he had character witnesses, one of which was a bearded lady.
Of course.
Yeah, and then everyone at the at the official courtroom was like, "This is the weirdest case I've ever seen," because they're listening to this bearded lady give excellent praise to this lobster person who just murdered a guy.
Oh my gosh.
I think that's when you retire as like a judge. You know, like nothing can top this.
Yeah,
Nothing
I
can
mean,
top how strange this is.
Do you know what could top this, bro? Somehow he wins the case. He beats the case.
There's no way he does. You know what, Jake, take it away. That's we'll find out.
well, the prosecution didn't buy it and claimed that Stiles was a psychopath and needed to be put away immediately, in spite of any sort of condition he had. The jury agreed. Stiles was convicted of third-degree murder. But
Third degree?
third degree. I don't know much about degrees of murder, but
Yeah, first degree is automatic life, I'm pretty sure. And it's like you had full intent on killing the person and you went through with it.
which he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should have been first degree.
All right. Well, he was convicted of third-degree murder. But instead of a prison sentence, Stiles received 15 years probation, as the prison system didn't have the means to care for a man who, along with having extradactyly, also had emphysema, kidney disease, and cirrhosis of the liver.
Oh my god.
Bro, they wouldn't hesitate to put a minority in prison, but they
Yeah.
hesitated to put this man.
Pretty much. Like, at this point, I've got my head in my hands, just completely, like, frustrated. Like, this guy must think he's fucking invincible. Because
And that'll
he literally openly admitted to killing someone premeditatedly, and he got away with it. He gets to serve this on his ass in his house.
And it's like, where is he gonna go normally? He's like, can't really travel that easily.
Yeah,
So
bro,
it's like,
just throw him in a cell. How's he gonna get out?
he won't.
He won't.
I mean, there's no way he lasted. Like he survived much longer. I mean, based on all those medical conditions you just said.
Well, I mean,
Oh
we'll
god.
come to see.
the system's
God.
like, did this black guy got an eighth of weed? 15
Bye
years.
bye.
This guy who murdered someone?
Probation.
Yeah, probation.
Makes sense. Good job, America.
Fucking terrible. All right. Well, following the trial, Stiles accepted that God had given him a second chance and attempted to turn his life around.
Yeah.
He quit drinking and moved to Tampa, Florida, where he set up his own carnival and sideshows and was known locally as, quote, a shrewd businessman.
That does not surprise me.
Nope, it does not at all. I imagine he's the most stubborn fuck ever.
Yeah.
In 1989, Stiles reconnected with his first wife, Mary, and
No,
the couple remarried
Oh,
man.
what?
and moved
Huh?
in
Are
together.
you serious, bro?
And moved in
Oh.
together with several of their children from various marriages, including Mary's with Henry Glenn Newman III.
What do the kids think about that one?
I have
Bro.
Oh.
no fucking clue, bro.
First of all, like, how do you get back with a guy you know abused you for so many years?
Well, you also got to consider that her kids are still with him.
That's-
So, like, maybe she feels like I've got to protect them in some way.
Okay,
Something
maybe.
like that.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine. That's the only way I can wrap my head around.
this
that
man
makes sense.
had to be packing, bro.
Well, Mary's son.
Oh my god, Mike.
Ain't no other way.
Hey, you want to get some of this lobster dong?
Bro, ain't no other way. You had to have that.
Bro, he got all the bearded ladies swooning.
Kid.
He even though he was in a wheelchair, bro, he had that 8-inch wonder, bro.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's not the bed.
Well,
Oh gosh, let's move on from that one.
Mary's son with the dwarf Henry Glenn Newman III, was overweight, had an IQ of 79, which is well below average, and performed in sideshows as a human blockhead, which is someone who hammers nails into their nostrils and shit.
I thought by blockhead, bro, you talking about fucking Minecraft Steve. This
Okay,
woke up and chose mutilation, dog.
absolutely.
Yeah. So you
Well,
get
I
your
mean, he
bag.
did. That's what he did.
Literally, yeah.
He's like the human pincushion, pretty much.
Gosh.
Well, soon after, it became clear that Stiles' new leaf turn wasn't much of a change at all. As once Mary Teresa returned to him, he resumed drinking heavily. Mary Teresa is noted to say that when he was not drunk, he was a pretty good guy, but once the whiskey touched his lips, completely different.
Hmm.
Which is just like sad to a certain extent, but also considering what this guy's done,
Yeah.
like I don't really have any sympathy. So
Yeah, I don't think alcohol influenced him trying to kill someone or
I really,
killing someone.
yeah, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
there's no excuse. You murdered someone.
Yeah. The
She,
chance for empathy for me is gone out the window.
the
Uh,
wife's like, the wife's legitimately like, he's such a sweetheart. He just murdered someone, beat the shit
yeah.
out of me a couple times. You know, the usual.
He tries his best.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Well, bolstered by his escape from the law, Grady's abuse became more prevalent and widespread, as he often beat Mary as well as their now grown children they had together, remarking often, quote, "I'm going to kill you, but the timing's just not right."
The timing.
The timing.
Bro, this guy is Black Air Force energy, bro, before that even existed. No cap.
This dude can't wear shoes though.
Fuck it, put it in his hands, bro.
I guess.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Smack him with the shoe. Well, in another example of Styles' violence, Styles' daughter, Kathy, who was pregnant at the time, attempted to break an onslaught by between Styles and his wife Mary by rolling his wheelchair in between the two. Grady then became so enraged that he turned his rage to Kathy, and he ended up beating her so severely that she went into labor early and was forced to deliver a premature baby who also had the family's signature deformity,
Oh my gosh.
which is maybe one of the worst things I've ever read. But also, like,
Got it.
comparing it to like him ripping the IUD out of his wife, like how do you return to someone that did that to you?
I don't know.
Like
Oh.
How do
I
you
don't
bring
understand.
yourself to do
This
that?
honestly brings up a good question about just relationships in general.
Oh boy.
Why do people go back to toxic relationships?
I don't. I'll never understand it, bro.
I don't.
It's so sad. Like
Yeah, I mean, in this case, it had to be the kids because she probably wanted to.
it
Again, we
must
said
have
it.
been the
Right.
kids, but
And,
obviously,
and
Heck,
it's not working because he's beating your daughter too.
yeah,
it, but also like to like, get a little deep here. When someone is physically abused or like mentally abused, sometimes since they're always in that cycle, they go back to it. It's not really by choice. It's just that's the way they view like how relationships are. So that's why a lot of times like domestic violence, the person never really speaks out on it because it's just a cycle that
yeah.
constantly happens
Well,
They're
I
and
just
can
kind of
bring them
numb
I
in.
to it.
yeah, I can imagine that to a certain extent because Mary like ran away from home at 19 to join the circus. So I imagine her childhood was not great
Yeah,
as well.
Definitely not.
But also you got to consider the fact that like the only reason I can perceive her going back is for the protection of her children, right? But as this is shown, it is not working.
Yeah,
So it's just like, why even try?
and she can't like up and run with the kids either.
Yeah, because like she felt that she couldn't get custody probably because
and
he'd already gotten it from her
and
Right.
also
once.
he's already left his imprint in the family, literally and physically, mentally. No matter what you do, you're gonna be reminded of him.
Hmm. Well, it was at this point that Mary thought that enough was enough. She decided that simply leaving again was not going to change anything and might even make it worse, as she considered herself and her family in active danger at all times whenever Grady was around. She recalled the last straw for her. Quote, "He was kneeling by my bed, breathing that steel whiskey breath. He was drawing the knife across my throat. He then noticed I was looking, dropped it, and crawled away."
My God.
At this point, it's like, this is like Split. Like the
Bro,
movie.
you just gotta punt the dude, bro. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're crawling around everywhere, bro. Just punt the shit out of him, bro.
Well, like, still, he is, like, surprisingly mobile. He is insanely strong for someone of his stature because of all the arm strength of him having to crawl everywhere without a wheelchair. So it's like, you're not going to win a fight against him.
Shit, a kick to the face, bro. It put anybody out.
And also, he has a gun. Well, maybe he's
That
not
too.
allowed to have a gun anymore, but he had a gun.
I wouldn't be surprised though. It's Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's a whole nother can of worms. On November on November 29th, 1992, Grady sat in front of the TV in his underwear, drinking an iced tea and relaxing after another season on the road doing carnival shows. At some point during the night, Christopher Wyant, a local teenager and sideshow performer who Mary Teresa and her son Henry Glenn Newman paid $1,500, shot Stiles 3 times in the back of the head.
Oh,
Yeah.
so they hired a hitman to kill him.
Yep. Who was also a sideshow performer.
He was like, good cash. Boop, boop, boop.
Yeah. Wiki, boom. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
but it's like every single person in this story is a sideshow person in some way or form. Like they really are good at keeping it in the community.
Oh
yeah.
my
This is
gosh.
just the circus life. I mean, you can't not expect, terrible things like this stuff to happen when people are constantly being mentally and physically abused by going through this circus life of living in a box. Obviously not to excuse it. It's terrible what these people did. But that's just kind of the product of treating people this way.
Yeah, I mean, like hatred breeds hatred.
Yeah, exactly.
And to
Absolutely.
make it worse, this guy, like, as much as we don't like this guy, right? And we can't emphasize.
No, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, no, he was a great guy.
Yeah, I'm
We-
probably
Hey, you
Jersey.
heard of Grady, my bro?
Yo, that man knew how to fight, dog. Like this man, no, he stopped. But
Yeah, it could be Mike Tyson.
honestly, this could have been prevented. His death and the death of others, or like the abuse of others, if the law actually did its job and put him in jail.
Yeah, I mean, their excuse was that they didn't have the necessary accommodations for him. But like, if he's in prison, how many accommodations do you possibly need? Like it's not really about like his deformity. It's more about like his emphysema, kidney disease, and cirrhosis of the liver. So like, I don't even know. Like, I guess they didn't have the medication necessary.
Maybe there had to be some place you could put him though.
Yeah, because
You gotta stick him somewhere.
he showed he's a menace to society, literally a menace.
Yeah.
Not
now look
adverse
where
to
it led him.
murder. Not adverse to abuse.
No.
I just don't get it. Like, I don't get anything about what's going on. All right, well, investigation into the murder uncovered the plot quite easily, and all 3 were arrested. Mary pleaded her case to the court. From the Orlando Sentinel, quote, "My husband was going to kill my family. I believed that from the bottom of my heart." Which is pretty much true.
I mean, yeah, they
Yep.
would have done
Because he's
eventually.
Man, it's like, how can you prove that when he's been actively saying he's going to kill you the entire time?
Wait, he's a known abuser, a known former murderer who's somehow free. It's like, dog.
Mary kind of threw her life away for the sake of her children. I think she probably paid that guy knowing, yeah, I'm going to get caught. Yeah, I'm going to go to prison. But she knew that her children would have been safe, which is actually somewhat pretty respectable.
Yeah,
at that point.
she's taking the fall.
Yeah.
It's depressing though that it was like,
It had to
at
come
what
to that.
point was she gonna snap?
But she's also like doing this with her other son, Harry Glenn
Oh,
Newman,
true.
the one she had with the other guy. So like,
Interesting.
I don't know. I guess like he wasn't getting the hardest of it, but
Yeah.
you'll come to see how the sentencing plays out. So
Right.
All right. Well, to both the courtrooms and the carnival community, her logic didn't seem to matter much. Many in the carnival scene saw Grady Stiles simply as an excellent businessman and a caring member of the community. From the LA Times, quote, they remember him as a smart businessman who went from working in multi-freak caravans to owning his own shows. When people were down on their luck, he would lend them money. Jeannie Tomaney, who was 77 years old, 2'6", and was born without legs, regarded, quote, all she had to do was walk away. I may not have legs or much of anything going on for me, but if anyone gives me a hard time, you better know I'll be out of there.
Oh, that's some
Christ.
bullshit, bro.
she's also like, she's also, she's also kind of a badass though, because she said, I don't have legs or anything, but you better know I'm up and out of there if something goes to shit.
But that's some bullshit,
Oh
though.
yeah, it's still complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, like we've been saying, like, why don't you just walk away? But like, it's not that simple.
No.
You got a guy who murdered your daughter's former husband. I guess you could say because they never got married. Former boyfriend. It's like at that point, where do you go from there? He should have never been allowed.
Yeah,
to
anywhere
be.
near any sort of other person in general. Fuck the
I know.
family. Fuck just people in general. He shouldn't have been here.
Could have been
And
locked away somewhere, maybe sent to an island or something. I don't know.
it's
I
like
don't know either.
people defended him because he had money. Like, come on, dog. He was a
Yeah,
shitty person.
people defended him because he was a prominent member of the Carney community, and he was successful at it. I guess it's like it's sort of like he's one of our own mentality, where
Yeah.
it's like he may be a shitty person, but he's still like a sideshow performer, and they've probably all gone through the same kind of shit that he went through, especially early on in the sideshow scene. So I guess there's some sort of unity in there, and like when he's murdered, and you don't know much about the case outside of his wife pleading that he was going to kill her family, like there's not much of a take you can really give that isn't more in favor of Grady.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't understand though. Like, I noticed like in America, like people will defend people with prominent prominent powers. I guess because he technically had power in the circus community if he was that well known.
Yeah, he was running his own shows.
It's like people will defend people in power even if they do something terribly bad.
Yeah, because like he's an asset at that point.
Yeah,
Money, money.
Yep. As with everything in this country, it all circles back to money some way.
Always.
Well, all three were convicted for the crime. Wyatt, the trigger man, was given 27 years and was released in 2009. Newman was sentenced to life as the mastermind of the operation and died in prison in 2014. It is noted that he had a tattoo on his arm that read, quote, "Forgive me, mother." It's like, Jesus Christ.
Man.
If his story did not need another downer. And Mary Teresa was given 43 years, but was let go on a restricted sentence and bond in 2000. She had a tattoo on her, quote, buttock that read, Grady Stiles Jr.
So, oh my, Jesus Christ, that tattoo. But these people got way more of a sentence, way more of a punishment than Grady himself did for murdering
Yeah,
that
they
innocent
served
guy.
actual prison time.
Yeah.
and he got away with it because he was in poor health. Like poor health is not an excuse to commit a crime.
Nope.
Like that's basically the logic they were saying.
It just doesn't add up, make sense, or anything really.
I don't think anything in the story has made sense so far. Gonna be honest.
No, not really.
yeah, not at all.
All right. Well, two of the Styles children, Grady the Third and Kathy, reconnected in 2014 on the AMC show Freak Show, and had nothing good to say about their father whatsoever.
Understandable.
Yeah, pretty much understandable. They basically I watched the clip, and they basically were saying that he ruined their lives, and they hold no regard
Remorse.
for him whatsoever.
As do
Yeah.
we.
Yeah. But like what we were talking about before, that he left his imprint psychologically on them because they became estranged and like blamed themselves and each other for it. But like when they reconnected, they were like, we shouldn't have been doing that. It's his fucking fault, which it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, very
honestly,
much
too,
was.
I don't know if it's a generational thing, but when you see us, we're over here like, dog, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But then you got the court system, who's probably filled with adults from like an older generation saying, this guy seems legit.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Who knows how much the story would have changed if this happened today?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it would have been plastered everywhere.
Yeah.
That would be much to say. And the public holds as much sway as it ever has. So if people were like calling for his head, and also considering the fact that we probably could accommodate someone with those like
Nowadays, yeah.
diseases and malformities these days in prison, we could definitely put him behind bars
Yeah.
because he never served any amount of time in prison.
Not one bit.
Not 1 second in prison. And that just fucks me up, bro. Well, Grady Stiles Jr. was buried at Sunset Memory Gardens outside of Tampa, Florida. It is noted that a bouquet of flowers adorned the gravestone with a banner attached that read, quote, "From your loving wife."
Of
Yeah.
course.
You know that meme where it's like, this is like, I'm in my dead op's funeral. Op means enemy. And he's like in a suit. He's like, fuck this guy. He showed up to the guy's funeral. You never seen it?
Oh, yeah. I saw it was
Mhm.
like an Instagram post or something.
Bro, that's basically what she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like we gotta get one last jab in.
Is the grave still there?
I believe it is.
Okay.
The flowers are probably not there anymore.
Yeah, they probably wilted and whatnot, but
Yeah.
maybe we'll visit it one day.
Maybe. I
I
don't know
think
if I
that's like
want
a
to.
Yeah,
I don't know
no.
either.
Maybe I'll spit on it.
Yeah,
I was
that'd
gonna
be fun.
say piss on their grave, but wait, whoa. That's illegal. We didn't say anything illegal. It's just a joke. Whoever watches this, don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, for legal
I don't have the
reasons,
means to go
that's
to
a joke.
Florida.
Yeah,
For legal reasons, that's a joke.
yeah. We just mean it metaphorically to piss on his grave, not literally.
Yeah. That is a figure of speech. So
Yeah.
Yep. And that is the end of the story of Grady Stiles Jr.
wow. That was a trip and a half.
So fucked up, dog.
Bro,
I was not expecting
Every
it.
single part of the story is fucked up, bro.
There was no bright moment. There was no hey, but on the bright side,
Well,
no,
That's what I said, because who's the hero here?
nobody,
Good
Nobody's the hero.
question is though, who's the villain?
Bro,
everyone.
Because
no,
Grady.
no. Grady is the villain.
Grady's the main
Wait,
villain.
but
Yes.
there's also an underlying villain, the court system for failing.
Yeah.
Society.
Okay, but like that's
As-
like the moral lesson you learn at the end of a SpongeBob episode. That's not a villain.
I just
Debatable.
nobody debatable. The only thing, like they hired a whole hitman who was a
Yeah,
circus
1,500.
That's a lot of that's a good amount of money back then.
Yeah, he was
But
17.
yeah, like here's the thing, morally, right thing to do? Definitely not. Can you understand why they did it? I can,
100%.
but it's like no one else is helping them. The court
Yeah,
system wouldn't
Yeah,
help
it's
them.
like what else could they have done, honestly?
And we're
Nothing.
not justifying murder or anything like
No,
that.
no.
I'd be the first to say
I might
that
be a little.
killing is bad.
A little.
Oh my gosh. Right. It's like at what point they snapped. It's like what point do you look at them and say, is it wrong for them to retaliate like this after
Yeah.
constant abuse?
It's hard for me to look at what they did and say those are awful people, especially when you compare it to Grady and what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But are they good people? I would not say that.
I don't know. It's hard to say because it's like, what do you do? Like, what do you do in that situation yourself?
Yeah, you can't run. You
I
can't hide.
probably do the same thing.
Yeah, because it's like the insensitive thing to say to someone who's been abused. Oh, why don't you just walk away? It's not really how. That's not how that
Yeah,
works.
it's not that easy.
But like there's also speculation. I didn't put it in the official in my official notes, but there was also speculation that Mary had nothing to do with it and she was just framed. Like her son Grady, I believe he said something along the lines of that she said like openly something needs to be done, like vaguely. And then her son Henry, who was given the life sentence, like he took that on his own and hired the hitman himself
Okay.
and killed him. Like that's just speculation because obviously she was still sentenced.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they still figured she did it. But I don't know. I think that it's hard to imagine that she didn't have any kind of influence in that. You
Yeah,
know?
I read researching this. I read through a lot of like takes from different kind of people that were somewhat like adjacent to the situation, like a lot of Carney takes. Like
Yeah,
one of the Carneys, I can't remember his name, but one of the Carney's takes was that like it would have been better if she had shot him herself
probably.
rather than hiring like hiring
You
an
soliciting.
outside person, because then like she takes him down as well.
Yeah,
But
she
like
doesn't take down, like, the family, some of the
Yeah.
kids with her too.
yeah, because if she does it herself, she gets a sentence and that's it.
Yeah,
But
It,
if she hired the hitman, so the teenager, her son, and the other one are all, the
they're all
same
in
thing.
prison. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
it's like a more like messed up version of the Tiger King, dog. No cap. It's like he hired someone, well, supposedly hired someone to kill Carol Basket, and she hired someone supposedly to kill her husband.
I
I'll be
mean,
honest, I did not sit down and watch Tiger King. I never did when
yeah,
it was,
neither did I.
yeah.
Really, it was pretty
Yeah,
good. It was pretty
was it?
good.
Okay.
It's like
Well,
it's like
they should
this.
make a series about this, I think.
It's yeah. It's honest. It's honestly just like this story, but like less messed up. A little messed up though. But it's
Yeah.
like just the similarities is like there's an array of weird people, an array of characters.
Yeah, this story is definitely not lacking in characters. I'll say that much.
Oh, not at all.
Well, that's the end of the story of Grady Stiles Jr.
It's a fun one to say
You
the
guys have
least.
any? Yeah, definitely a fun one if that's your definition of fun.
Yeah.
And it just it shows like how like the carny lifestyle affects people, especially the performers
Yeah, this is
and
definitely
those
one of
with
the more
disabilities.
extreme cases of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because most
no,
of the time they're just normal, chill people, if a little eccentric.
yeah.
But like in this case, he literally became the freak everyone thought he was.
Yeah.
Yep. And I honestly thought this story took place like an old time ago, like early 1900s. But nope,
Nope, recent.
terrible.
Recently.
Yeah, the murder took place in the late 80s? No, early 90s, 1992.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
A good amount of people that you know today were very much alive during this time.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that also means Grady got 14 more years after he killed someone.
Jesus Christ.
So it took a while.
That is, yeah, that's messed up.
But I can only imagine what he was doing like up until 1989 cuz apparently he kept his nose clean cuz there's nothing on him in that time period.
He
I
was
mean, he
probably
must have
building
just
up his business.
Yeah,
true.
I guess that's what he was doing. Well, I guess that's the end. You guys have any final takes?
Fuck that guy. Also,
That's kind of it.
and
Yeah. I mean, fuck
it
him.
it raises a question though. It raises multiple questions. First, to like the abuse of people who are different or minorities in America. So that's one. Two, it raises a question: how fucked up a person could be to their own family members.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
three,
go ahead.
how fucked up is our court system to allow this menace to be
For
free?
real, like reading some of the things he did was like that the IUD thing may be like the worst thing I've ever heard someone do
That is
something to another person.
that is the worst part of the story to me. That's kind of that's the one that stood out the most. They're like, wow, he did that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like I don't know enough about IUDs to like get a completely accurate read on it,
Yeah.
but I imagine that is completely abhorrent.
Oh yeah.
Painful.
Well, that's the end of the story. You can follow us at JustWhyPod on Twitter and Instagram. And we thank you for listening, and we hope you all have a good day.